Defensive tackle is considering coming out of retirement at age 35. Donald retired in 2024 after 10 remarkable seasons with the Rams. Donald is working out every day at the Rams facility, but has given no timetable of when he'll make a decision. Several thousand people showed up for the first day of training camp Wednesday in El Segundo for LA's other NFL team. The Chargers got a lot of love from fans who think this could be their year. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let me put my hard hat on, go back outside, and see if these procrastination Crenshaw construction crews have shown up yet. I'm saving space for grace, but if these trucks don't show up soon, well, you already know. Destination Crenshaw, your time is up. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580 and Bethesda Temple Church invite residents, churches, businesses, and community leaders along the Crenshaw corridor to join a vitally important community conversation Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. For years now, this community has been living with unkept promises and the devastating effects of the unfinished Destination Crenshaw construction project, leaving residents, businesses, and churches to deal with myriad problems, including the loss of parking, restricted access, traffic congestion, and the lack of emergency vehicle access when it matters most. For years now, Procrastination Crenshaw has directly contributed to the loss of customer revenue for local Black-owned businesses and, sadly, has forced the closure of some businesses along this 1.3-mile corridor. For years now, churches have been experiencing decreased attendance due to the elimination of parking, and social service programs for vulnerable fellow citizens have been altogether halted. For years now, residents have watched their quality of life erode, and nothing has been done about it. If they think they can get away with treating Black folk like second-class citizens, they better think again.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me.
This town hall meeting is a reckoning, a public witness, an opportunity for impacted community members to share their experiences for the public record as we prepare to hold those responsible accountable for this enduring nightmare. So please join us Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. This town hall meeting is free and open to the public, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Good afternoon. Prisoners of hope. Let me begin with the definition, because definition is where the argument gets won. Prisoners of hope. My father said if they can define you, they can confine you. Hope is not optimism. Optimism is a forecast. Optimism looks at the numbers, looks what it sees, and predicts a happy ending. Optimism is what you feel when the wind is at your back, and optimism dies the moment the wind turns. Hope is something else entirely. The prophet Zechariah wrote to a people in ruins, a people with no numbers on their side, no reason to expect deliverance, and he called them a name I have never forgotten. He called them prisoners of hope. Not beneficiaries of hope, not recipients of hope, prisoners, bound to it, unable to put it down even when evidence says put it down. There is the difference. Optimism is a mood, hope is a discipline. Now, this afternoon, I want to do something that is going to sound like a contradiction, and I want you to stay with me through it. I want to give you the receipts and tell you why the receipts are not the reason to hope. Here are the receipts. Since this president returned to office, Democrats have flipped roughly 30 legislative seats between the special elections in the 2025 races in Virginia and New Jersey. Republicans have flipped 0, not 1. That has not happened in a decade and a half. We won a Texas state Senate seat that Trump carried by more than 17 points, and we won it with a swing of nearly 32. We won the Florida House District seat that contains Mar-a-Lago. Miami elected its first Democratic mayor since 1997 and the first woman to ever hold that office. In Georgia, Democrats took the seats on the Public Service Commission and had not been in our hands since at least 2006. The president's approval is in the mid-30s. We lead the generic ballot in the polling averages, and some surveys have us in double digits. That's the good news, and I do not diminish it. But I will not sell it to you as prophecy, because I have been in this business too long to lie to you about a poll. In 2018, the early special election showed us up 18 points. By that summer, the number had fallen to 2. Democrats still gained more than 300 state legislative seats that November, which tells you what a special election actually is. It is a thermometer. It is not a forecast. It tells you the fever is real. It does not tell you the patient recovers. And here's why I'm not building this hour on polling. On the 29th of April this year, the Supreme Court of the United States handed down Louisiana versus Calais, 6-3. Justice Alito writing, and the court did not have the honesty to strike down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act outright. It did something quieter and more effective. It raised the bar so high that a black voter can almost never clear it. And it took the states that if you're caught discriminating by race, you simply say you were discriminating by party and walk out of that courtroom scot-free. Justice Kagan, in dissent, said the ruling leaves Section 2 all but dead letter. 61 years later after Selma, 61 years. So I understand what I'm telling you. I hope, and if hope were optimism, Calais would have killed it in April. But they did not have the receipts on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They had discipline. They had a bill that had not passed yet, and a court that had not helped them, and a country that had not decided. The fix was already written. It's called the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and it runs straight through this November. Hope is a discipline. Let's go to work. Atiba, welcome forward to the program. Atiba Madian, Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, Strategic Alliance Consultant, and President of Party Politics US. I do know that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, Atiba Madian is going to talk about the path of hope, the road to hope, the discipline, and the work necessary to get it done. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage career track jobs. The LA Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. And they are advocating for a fair deal for black workers in the new Los Angeles City Charter. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing, or learn about union apprenticeship programs and trade registries, please visit lablackworkercenter.org. That's lablackworkercenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis and build a more equitable Los Angeles. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Atiba is the former Deputy Executive Director of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. He's Strategic Alliance Consultant and President of Party Politics US. He's worked as a TV political contributor for a number of entities. He was most recently a guest host on Rising, an American daily news and opinion web series produced by Washington, D.C.'s political newspaper, The Hill. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Jesse, it's good to be here.
Atiba, I wanted to begin with your thinking on the thoughts and the structure of hope in this environment. You're doing some extraordinary work, bringing the importance of the midterms to the American people. Can you share with us what your thoughts are on what hope means in this context?
Yeah, thank you for that, Jesse. And actually, I want to start by, every show, and I'm so appreciative of it, that you introduced me as the president and founder of Party Politics US. So if you don't mind, I want to just say that Party Politics US was founded in 2009 when a few people kept asking me, Atiba, okay, we just had the 2008 elections. People came together across political lines and religious lines, ethnicity, etc. How do we keep people together? And my answer to them was a simple one. It was that we have to make sure that we figure out a way to make it fun. And unfortunately, what we've seen in the last 17 years is the divisiveness, because we've fed into the opposite in what I believe of hope. But with party politics, the idea has always been about putting the gathering, the party. In fact, the tagline is putting the party before the politics, not the political party. It's about bringing music and sports, art, culture, community, so that the conversations can begin from a place of shared humanity rather than division. To me, that's where hope is. And, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the World Cup. And if you look at the World Cup, it didn't matter what your ethnicity was or what country you were. We were all cheering for a game, whether or not we were going for our countries, et cetera. So in terms of, starting this off in terms of talking about hope, there are reasons why I say things about the fact that words matter. There are reasons why we started a campaign a few years ago called Midterms Effing Matter and are bringing it back again now, because in terms of hope, you also, I think, have to have some way of bringing about our humanity and making things fun, even in the midst of things not being so much fun. And right now, there are a lot of people that are hurting, whether or not it's because of affordability, whether or not it's because they're afraid that their votes don't count. But somehow, in terms of all of this muck and mire, I still believe that we have to find ways to give people something to cling to that's fun. To keep them hopeful.
I really do appreciate that answer. When I think about where we are in our country's history, and this is going to be positioned in the form of a question, that's definitely hope is optimism, that to make it fun, to make it enjoyable, to make it something that motivates and inspires us to keep, as my father would say, hope alive. But given the forces that we're up against, the idea of hope as a discipline is actually quantifiable as a discipline. That means we have to go to work. And I know that's exactly what you've been saying, that we have to go to work, from voter registration to voter participation, to every obstacle that we've seen and every obstacle that we have not seen yet that could present itself as a factor in denying the franchise to us in November, whether it's ICE agents or federal agents or martial law or whatever Donald Trump is working on that we still can't see, some October surprise. By the way, I haven't heard that term in a moment, but sure. I think we can expect some kind of October surprise. Hope as a discipline means that when, from my perspective, the winds shift, we are prepared to push forward anyway. Your thoughts on the hope that you've been advancing, midterms effing matter, as a discipline? We're going forward anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, we also were talking about Reverend Sharpton, Ben Crump, Martin Luther King III, and their plans to do a march on Washington. And, one of the things I love about what we do at Party Politics US is it gives me opportunities to talk to people that I don't normally get to talk to. It doesn't matter what their political parties are. It doesn't matter their ethnicities. And one of the things that I said was, I think that we should be looking at how we have marches to go vote. Not one person has told me the opposite. Not one person has said that they disagreed. And, part of that is because I think that within our communities, our churches, our community centers, et cetera, can do things that make it fun. They can have a barbecue. They can have hey, come back to the church, come back to the community center, come back to my home after they go and vote. Oftentimes when I look at, and I've attended marches, whether or not it was a women's march or a number of other marches in Washington, D.C., when you get to the end, there's always, well, what's next? When you think about the March on Washington in 1963, it wasn't just a march. It was a march with a demand. When you look at Selma, it was a march with a demand. In terms of what is it now that we're looking at, I think that when I keep saying the words, we have to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome, those are not just words. These are words that I mean that we have to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome, because I look at Georgia, I look at Pennsylvania and the election returns that came back in 2020, and we didn't know the result of those elections for days on end. And the margin of victory was 12,000 in Georgia, and I believe 18,000 or 20,000 in Pennsylvania. So, everybody's vote matters and everyone's voice matters. And your voice right now is your vote. And there are a lot of issues that are on the ballot that candidates are going to talk about. And I continue to say, because in terms of the work that we're doing and the people that we're talking to, affordability is the number one issue that's on the ballot.
Agreed. When I think about the march in 1963, I think about Brown versus the Board of Education in 1964. I think about Rosa Parks sitting down in 1965. I think about 1956.
56. I'm 54.
In that same period, Emmett Till was killed. In fact, Rosa Parks responded by saying, "I was thinking about Emmett Till when I took my seat." I think about the activity from 1956 to 1963 that led to this question of affordability. The March on Washington on August 28, 1963 was about affordability, organized by the Pullman Porters, called the March for Jobs and Justice. That's what the march was about. It was about affordability. Of course, Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech has come over time to identify the march with a dream, with an expectation, with the nation living up to the true meaning of its creed, and all that we know the I Have a Dream speech to be. But it was a march about affordability. And so when I see the factors coming together with young Black men who have been lynched and or executed, or unexplained cases like Nolan Wells, and I look at Janetta Brantley, who's come forward with audio, and Ben Crump's press conference today that says we need more engineers to look at the tow call in the Nolan Wells case. Nolan Ryan's a baseball player, right? I can't get him off my mind. He was fastball. Nolan Wells's case. When I think about the circumstances that lead to an August 28th, an annual, if you will, remembrance of the concomitants of circumstances that came together that really changed the trajectory of the 1964 election, which led to a Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Wouldn't you agree that certain circumstances are coming together where a greater clarity, which will lead from August 28th to the November election, to greater participation in the polls with greater clarity on what the issues are that close to the election that matter to our people?
I think time will tell. We saw what happened in August of 2024. We saw in a span of August 2024, when Kamala Harris gave her acceptance speech. I was with you, Jesse. We were literally on the floor backstage in a room listening to that speech, to what happened in November 2024 and the election being lost. We've heard a lot about things that happen, that the president says happened in terms of election integrity from 2020. I could go into where my thoughts are in terms of election integrity for 2024, but that doesn't get us anywhere forward. What I think is, as you said earlier, you haven't heard the term October surprise in a while. I do believe there's going to be an October surprise. I think it's very important for us to be very truthful and very honest with the electorate about what may be coming down the road. And it's so important. I know I spend my mornings in the gym. I'm literally in the gym every morning around 6:30. And while I'm in the gym, I'm plugged into a podcast or a YouTube or something about the past history of our nation. And this morning, two things. Yesterday morning, I was listening to something about Booker Wright, and I want to talk about him in a few minutes. But before I get there, can we run a clip that I would like to share about Jackie Robinson? And I think that can help in terms of with our conversation.
Yes, we're ready for the clip on Jackie Robinson.
In those days. Well, on my day when we played the New York Yankees today, I think we might have beaten them. Really? And we played that day. We know we played Major League All-Star. Mm-hmm. We won the majority of the games from the Negro at the Major League All-Star. But it wasn't that we were better than the Major League All-Stars, but the fact is the Major League All-Stars were actually just making a payday. But we had to prove, we were trying to prove to the world that they weren't superior because they were white. Right. And we weren't inferior because we were black. Yeah. We had a point to prove, so we would stretch that single into a double, that double into a triple, that triple into a home run. Did you, tell us about Jackie Robinson. Ooh, outstanding individual. And Jackie was so different than we were because we were acclimated to segregation. But not Jackie. Jackie came to the Monarchs in 1945. We've been going to a filling station in Oklahoma for 20 years, the Monarchs. We'd never gone to the restroom because on the door it said for white men only. So Jack is there, and we played that night in this town, and the next day we go to the filling station to get some gas. The man put the hose in the tank, said, "Oh, you boys were wonderful as usual. They filled the park up. Good to see you." Jackie got off the bus, started walking to the restroom. He said, "Where you going?" He said, "I'm going to the restroom." He said, "You know you can't go to that restroom." Jackie said, "Take the hose out the tank." Now the man thought then, because we got a 50-gallon tank on this side. We got a 50-gallon tank on that other side. He's not going to sell that much gas, to one customer until we got back there again. You know what he said? "You boys can go to the restroom, but don't stay long." It comes down to economics a lot of times. Of course. But the gist of that story is this. From that day on, we never got gas at the station. We couldn't go to the restroom. We never played in a town that they didn't have a place for us to stay and to eat. Jackie said, "Listen, you're playing, you're making money for these people. This is a capitalistic society. You don't have to take these things." Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you very much for sharing that clip. Your thoughts?
Yes, I mean that's hope. If you can, I don't think that at any point in our nation have we seen segregation or any of these other things change without a demand. And Frederick Douglass told us this. But the demand often is because our economic power. And we have been spending a lot of time talking about the semantics of what people are doing to us, not enough time, in my opinion, on what is it that we can do to them. And that for me is the currency of dignity. And Dr. King said, "We shall overcome." Lyndon Johnson, when he introduced the voting rights bill, said, "And we shall overcome." He used the language of Dr. King. Dr. King eloquently gave America a roadmap. But the thing is that map, that journey that they took was never easy. It was, when you think about Jimmy Lee Jackson, when you look at James Reeb, when you look at the men and women who died, who were injured, getting us the right to vote, I think that if we want to be hopeful in this time, that we can show the clips and we can show the stories like this of Jackie Robinson to give hope, but we can also need to tell the stories of those who came before us and sacrifice, in many cases, the ultimate sacrifice of giving their lives for us to have the right to vote. That's why we have to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome.
I appreciate that analysis very much. My father, when I was very, very young, his friend Jackie Robinson, along with Rachel Robinson and Sharon Robinson, came over to our home. I remember my father preaching at the funeral of Jackie Robinson. Rachel Robinson is more than 100 years old today. Sharon Robinson's son was named Jesse Robinson. She named her son after my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. I think about it in this moment because that's a family of extraordinary dignity. And yes, they represented hope. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward right here with the T-Bone.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm
Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has signed an executive order aimed at reducing gun violence by tightening firearm purchasing standards for police.
And it should support responsible business practices.
Gun dealers will have to disclose licensing and compliance information while the city develops new procurement rules designed to prevent trafficking, straw purchases, and theft. HBCU Howard University says more than 200 students have been re-enrolled after submitting required information. The update comes after more than 500 incoming freshmen were told they could not start classes next month. And Los Angeles prosecutors say they do not believe 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was pregnant when she was killed. Earlier messages between the teen and Black singer David, whose real name is David Burke, discussed pregnancy and abortion, but prosecutors say those messages were not from the time of her death. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers snapped a 4-game losing streak at home with a 4-2 win over Seattle Wednesday night. First win at home for the Dodgers since July 8th against Colorado. The Dodgers pitching staff had a much better performance than they did on Wednesday when they were tagged for 5 home runs. No homers for Seattle last night and no runs on the scoreboard until the 8th inning. Nothing new to report on Aaron Donald. The 10-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle is considering coming out of retirement at age 35. Donald retired in 2024 after 10 remarkable seasons with the Rams. Donald is working out every day at the Rams facility, but has given no timetable of when he'll make a decision. Several thousand people showed up for the first day of training camp Wednesday in El Segundo for LA's other NFL team. The Chargers got a lot of love from fans who think this could be their year. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Thought-Provoking Thursdays. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Hey, it's going down tonight. Residents, businesses, churches, artists, and other stakeholders have questions, and they deserve real answers, not just promises. Destination Crenshaw is behind schedule, years behind schedule. If empty promises poured concrete, this project would have been opened years ago. This week, join us. No. Join us tonight at a community town hall to talk about the delays, the timeline, and what happens to the Crenshaw corridor. This public hearing is your chance to get on the record and speak directly to the people making these indecisions at City Hall. Join us tonight, July 30th from 6:30 p.m. or at 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. Between the construction crawl and the parking spots, it has eaten alive. Rideshare is now less a suggestion and more of a survival tactic around Leimert Park. So please rideshare if you can. If you cannot join us in person Thursday night, the public hearing will be broadcast live on radio and streamlined online at KBLA Talk 1580. Our town hall warm-up is hosted by Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte, starts at live at 6 p.m. Tavis is going to moderate the town hall at 6:30 p.m. Don't miss it. It's your culture, it's your community, your voice, and please send me a picture of Tavis Smiley with his hard hat on. I want to see it so badly that I'm going to post it on my own Facebook page and social media accounts. Get them, Tavis. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are in live conversation with Atiba. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Good to be here, Jesse.
Atiba, let's continue down this line of hope, if you will. What has Trump actually won since he's been reelected? Not very much. Democrats, on this question of optimism, have a thermometer that has shown a number of decisive victories, including but not limited to the fact that the president of the United States in all polling is absolutely underwater. Isn't, in a real sense, hope alive? But of course, as the November elections come about, the polls will obviously tighten. Should we have any concern that our hope must not just be without work, but that our hope must be part of a discipline to persevere and push through in spite of?
Yeah, so the hope, if you look at the polls, which I try not to, the hope is that Democrats will regain some sense of control over the House and the Senate. But they have their own issues right now because I feel like they're not concentrating enough on the affordability conversation. But I will say that when you look at where the president is, the president's poll numbers or approval ratings are under 50%. And the last time they were this low, we were in 2018 during his first presidency. And the Democrats picked up 41 seats in the United States House of Representatives. Unfortunately, they didn't gain the 2 seats. They lost 2 seats to Republicans. So, when you start doing the math and you're looking at a state like North Carolina, where Roy Cooper is leading, and then a state like Maine, which had Plattner, who dropped out, and Susan Collins, who has repeatedly won races, but it seems to be in play. You have Texas with Tallarico. Just this past week, I had the opportunity to see and talk to Juliana Stratton, who is in Illinois, but she's going to win what has traditionally been a safe United States Senate seat. But she will be, I think, the second African-American woman from the state of Illinois to take a U.S. Senate seat. There are things that are going on all around the country. The media is not reporting them to us in this way because there's more to be gained by demonstrating and talking about the divisiveness within our politics. But I think that right now there is a great deal of hope, and there should be a great deal of, I don't want to call it excitement, but definitely there should be a great deal of motivation for people to vote in these numbers too large to manipulate the outcome, because the gaining or regaining the power, putting the guardrails back on the democracy, having some type of semblance of adults in Washington is possible. But it's not just about what can happen in Washington. It's also what can happen on the state level. You started off with some numbers that I know that I've also shared, that Democrats have flipped 30 seats since President Donald Trump took office. Democrats have won seats that were traditionally not supposed to be theirs in Texas and Georgia and across the country and some other places. So it's really just a matter of, as you say, hope requires a great deal of discipline. I think it requires going back to learn from the lessons of a Jackie Robinson, the lessons that happened with organizations like the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SCLC, and others who have been involved and who got us to this point, and recognize that what we have today, Jesse, as far as resources, as far as access, is far more than what they had then. So I believe that we should be accomplishing much more now.
Over the course of last week, James Carville came out and essentially said that the Democratic Party is in shambles. And he reached all the way over because he thinks Martin needs to step aside immediately, the chairman of the Democratic National Committee. And he advanced the idea of David Hogue. Now, David Hogue is young, capable of raising a lot of money. He showed that in this primary process and has been running a number of young candidates. But he's also, at the same time, David Hogue put up candidates against traditional, long-serving African-American members of Congress and other incumbents who have an institutional history of the Congress of the United States. And he seems to be a lot less concerned about the Voting Rights Act and the issues that drive Negro participation than he is about winning for Democrats. What are your thoughts? Is there something lost in this environment?
So the reason why I was in Chicago, I just returned a couple of days ago. The reason why I was in Chicago is because the National Conference of State Legislators is holding their conference there. State Representative Marcus Evans is the president, African-American president of the largest body of state legislators in the country. That's not because of just African-American votes. He took him having to get votes from other legislators to win that seat. This is going to be something that's going to be maybe unpopular with you, Jesse, but a lot of us have been in these positions and have not delivered. And it's not just about delivering to our community, it's delivering to the country as a whole. And while I recognize that there is a semblance of need and hope in the idea of us being in these elected positions, the bottom line is if you're not doing your job, then you don't deserve to have the seat. And if someone like David Hogue, who I believe was in, I think it was here in Florida, the mass shooting, he has built a grassroots organization, and James Carville is saying that he should be put in there. I really haven't agreed with the last few heads of the DNC. I think that they've done more to try to hold the line as opposed to recognizing that there is a young, burgeoning, big influx of young voters who have ideas, who have energy, who are affected more by this affordability crisis than some of us who are just trying to hold on to the things that we've acquired in our lives. They don't have anything to hold on to. So if we're not listening to them, if we're not paying attention to their needs and their desires, they're going to push people out. That's what you had with SNCC, during the civil rights movement. That's how we ended up getting the John Lewis's, the Bobby Rushes, those who came from the Black Panthers and SNCC and SPLC. So
let me break right here because we do have to come forward. But I do want to say that these African Americans that you're mentioning after 1965 are not running against incumbent African Americans. They're running for the first time in 1965 to secure these seats under the Voting Rights Act of 1965. They are beating white Southern Democrats in districts that gave African Americans an equal opportunity of winning. We'll talk more about that when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., along with Atiba on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The BLM Center for Black Power is a hub for Black activism in the city of Los Angeles, a standalone nonprofit affiliated with Black Lives Matter LA. The venue is home to live events, meetings, and organizing drives for Black-led community-based organizations. It is also the base of operations for Black Lives Matter LA. Built on what used to be a nuisance property owned by an arms dealer, the BLM Center for Black Power is in the heart of Leimert Park and has opened its doors to everything from youth organizers to toy drives to film screenings and community town hall meetings. To make a donation or make a request, please visit blmla.org. That's blmla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are at Thought Provoking Thursday, and with one of our most thoughtful contributors, Atiba, former Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, NBCSL, and a Strategic Alliance Consultant and President of Party Politics US. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Hey, Jesse, great being here.
Atiba, how can we get some of those T-shirts?
Thank you for asking. You can go to www.midtermseffingmatter.com. That's midterms, FING matter.com. And on the website, you can find out whether or not your registration is up to date. You can register to vote if you're not already registered. You can find out who's on your ballot, where to go and vote, and many other things that are pertinent and relative to voter education and getting ready to vote on November the 3rd. Find out if your state has already had its primary. The reason why we have this information on is because that is the most important part of this election, is for all voters to be aware and know where to go and vote and what their voting status is, to make sure that their registrations are up to date. So please don't just look at it one time, just keep checking. Make sure that your voting registration is intact and know exactly where to go and vote.
I appreciate that. And before we get to your word of hope, I want to make a distinction between what I perceive, and don't get me wrong, James Carville is a friend of mine. I've got dozens of pictures with James Carville, including Bill Maher and other shows that we've done together, just laughing and having a great time. But I recognize the difference between a surgeon and a butcher. And David Hogue's philosophy, at least as I've confronted it, because I had a David Hogue candidate in the race against me for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District, was a campaign against historic memory and some incumbents. In my case, I wasn't even the incumbent. It was just, it's Jesse Jackson Jr., it's time for a change. The whole kind of David Hogue impetus and modus operandi is more like a butcher. Young cat, lot of money, comes in, bringing us leadership from the outside that people in the congressional district itself do not and does not know, all in the name of we're Democrats and we're going in a certain direction. Whoa, 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 pump the brakes on that. We are a people that from July 4th, 1776 to the present have been on a particular destiny of our own in this republic. And that can be said true of Hispanics, immigrants, and many, many others. I'd like to make the distinction that we're on the same page, but I do think when it comes to us, we need more strategic thinking on the question of a surgeon who looks at our hearts and our livers and our kidneys very as specialists and not as butchers. Get this person off the table and just bring me the next person. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, Jesse, I get calls from people all the time who want to run for office, or people who want to connect me to someone running for office. And the thing I always ask every candidate, first question, What's the theme of your campaign? To a T. Not one person has done opposite of this. Everybody wants to give me the long spiel about what they're running for, why they're running, what issues are important to them. I just want to know the theme. And the reason is I was a registered Republican until 2016. I voted for Obama twice. I voted for Bush twice. I voted for President Clinton once. I voted for his father once. For President Bush's father once. I don't vote because somebody is a political party. I don't vote for somebody because they look like me. I vote for someone because I feel like they have my best interest in mind. And just because you look like me or you say the right things doesn't mean you're going to be for me.
Interesting.
That is so important. It is so important, Jesse. We have taken, and our candidates have taken being an incumbent for granted. You have to work for my vote.
I want to go to our
You have to earn it.
I want to go to another clip that you brought forward, but I do want to say this first, just before we get there. Gee, just give me a moment, and that's this. I've been a Democrat not since 2016. I've been a Democrat since I could vote. And I know the history of this party, the Neo-Confederates, and the Confederate Party that was the party of Thomas Jefferson, Jefferson Davis, and many others. And I also recognize the battles that we won to make the Democratic Party better. My life has been invested in making the Democratic Party better and come to terms with who we are. And so you can appreciate the shift itself as being somewhat cataclysmic, even for someone who's relatively new to our party. I've been on picket lines fighting Democrats in Chicago my whole life to get Harold Washington elected because there was no room for him, Lori Lightfoot, Brandon Johnson. There was just no room unless Negroes came together because we weren't Democrats. We were independent Democrats making democratic machines do right by us. That history matters to me. It matters to us. Let me go to this clip. We'll hold the clip if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, let's do it next week. Let's do it next week.
Go ahead.
Because it really deserves, after when we listen to that, it really deserves a longer conversation. But I want to say this about what you say. One, I'm a registered independent, and I'm doing so for a reason. I still want whoever is on a ballot, I want you to earn my vote. And I want you to earn it because I want you to know and to realize that you have to work, not just for my vote, you should be working for all of our votes. As somebody who works in public affairs and government relations, I'm only as good as my last win. So, I have to keep working. So why don't you have to keep working as an elected official? And the thing that I think that we get caught up into is, yes, it sounds good to say that we have 60, 70, members who are Americans of African descent. And I use that term purposely. And this is what I hope to be able to continue talking about on this show with you, Jesse, because I'm an American. But before all that, I'm a human being. And we're not treating each other as humans. And I've seen too many members of Congress go to Congress and become wealthy. I'm not saying it's us, but it's just the reality. And so that means that there are some things that are going on that whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, and many of us are hurting. And this election has consequences. The last election had consequences. But my hope is that when we are voting this go round, that we are not voting because, I like the way they look. We're not voting because, I like the way they say. Vote because you believe truthfully that that person is going to go to Washington, is going to go to your state legislature, that's going to go to your city council, that is going to go there to work. Because this right now, if you look at where we were 100 years ago, then it was the millionaires. Today, it's the billionaires. And they're taking our money, and we're heading for an economic downturn. If we don't get this right, we are heading for an economic downturn that is going to be far worse than anything we could have imagined in 2008.
I know that our time has expired, but I hate to close on the last note because I always give it to you. Listen, I think Black members of Congress and Hispanic members of Congress work their asses off to get there. I don't see them as lazy. I don't start from the presupposition they're lazy. When I
I
was
don't think
there,
they are.
members that I've met, they work hard as hell. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Tiba, welcome. You're always welcome back. You know, you're a regular contributor.
Thanks,
Look forward to
Jesse.
seeing you next week. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has signed an executive order aimed at reducing gun violence by tightening firearm purchasing standards for police.
And it should support responsible business practices.
Gun dealers will have to disclose licensing and compliance information while the city develops new procurement rules designed to prevent trafficking, straw purchases, and theft. HBCU Howard University says more than 200 students have been re-enrolled after submitting required information. The update comes after more than 500 incoming freshmen were told they could not start classes next month. And Los Angeles prosecutors say they do not believe 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was pregnant when she was killed. Earlier messages between the teen and Black singer David, whose real name is David Burke, discussed pregnancy and abortion, but prosecutors say those messages were not from the time of her death. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers snapped a 4-game losing streak at home with a 4-2 win over Seattle Wednesday night. First win at home for the Dodgers since July 8th against Colorado. The Dodgers pitching staff had a much better performance than they did on Wednesday when they were tagged for 5 home runs. No homers for Seattle last night and no runs on the scoreboard until the 8th inning. Nothing new to report on Aaron Donald. The 10-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle is considering coming out of retirement at age 35. Donald retired in 2024 after 10 remarkable seasons with the Rams. Donald is working out every day at the Rams facility, but has given no timetable of when he'll make a decision. Several thousand people showed up for the first day of training camp Wednesday in El Segundo for LA's other NFL team. The Chargers got a lot of love from fans who think this could be their year. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, oh, come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
KBLA Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. After confrontation, then what? Good afternoon. In 1967, 1 year before they killed him, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote a sentence that most America has managed to quote for 60 years without ever once obeying. He wrote, "True compassion is more than flinging a coin to a beggar. It's an understanding that an edifice which produces beggars needs restructuring." We built the national holiday on the first half of that sentence. Every January, we fling our coins, we paint our schools, we serve a meal, we post a photograph, and every January, we walk right past the second half, the edifice, the building, the structure, the thing that keeps producing beggars faster than we can feed them. Let me define my terms this afternoon, because definition is where the argument again gets won. When most Americans hear the word violence, they see a fist, a gun, a body in the street. That is one kind of violence, and it's real, and I will not diminish it. But peace scholars, Johann Galtung chief among them, teaches us that violence has three faces, not one. There is direct violence, a blow, the bullet, the burning cross. There is structural violence, the systems, the policies, the processes that quietly limit what a life can become. No one throws a punch. The zip code throws it. The lending policy throws it. Not getting concrete poured in Crenshaw is it. The sentencing guidelines throw it. Nobody's fingerprints are on the weapon because the weapon is the filing cabinet. And then there's cultural violence, the stories, the sermons, the textbooks, the mores that arrive to explain why the two are necessary all along. Dr. King saw this one plainly. He wrote that the doctrine of white supremacy was embedded in every textbook and preached from practically every pulpit, and he said, not as a rationalization of a lie, but as the expression of a final truth. Now, here's the question I want to put before you this afternoon. In violence, and if violence has three faces, it is direct, structural, and cultural. Then why have we spent 60 years practicing nonviolence with only one? We know the direct form. We are the people who invented the American version of it. My father knew it. Rock Hill knew it. Greenville, South Carolina knew it. Where I was born knew it. The lunch counter, the bus, the bridge, the jail cell, that is direct nonviolent action, and it is holy work. And it moved this nation further into 13 years than it had moved in the previous 300 by confrontation, a beginning, but it's not the structure. You can march a bad law off the books. You can march a good institution into being. So the question that our brother, Dr. Johnny Mack, has spent a career asking, and that's the sharpest question in the field, is this one. After confrontation, then what? After the cameras leave, after the consent decrees, after the commission issues its report, and the report goes on the shelf, after you've deposed the dictator and the next dictator moves into the same house with the same furniture, then what? Dr. Mack's answer is that King was already building a framework and simply did not live long enough to name it. That violence, that nonviolence, like violence, has three forms. That alongside direct nonviolent action, there must be structural nonviolence, institutions, policies, and process that are themselves built on dignity, liberty, and solidarity. And there must be cultural nonviolence, the schooling, the discourse, the diffusion that makes the first two legitimate in the eyes of the people. King called that whole enterprise peaceable power. He said, and I quote him carefully, a true nonviolence is more than the absence of violence. It is the persistent and determined application of peaceable power to offenses against the community. Persistent, determined. Those are not protest words. Those are maintenance words. Those are words of a people who intend to still be here in 30 years. I will tell you where I think this lands, and then I will get out of the way and let the professor teach. An affirmative constitutional amendment, a right to education, a right to health care, or a right to clean environment, is structural nonviolence written in the only ink this republic has ever taken seriously. And a full and unconditional pardon, which the court told us in 1866, blocks out the guilt itself if mercy is converted from a private feeling into a public instrument. That is the difference between flinging the coin and restructuring the edifice. Dr. Johnny Mack, welcome forward to the program.
Jesse, thank you so much. It's great to be here, and your intro was just outstanding.
Johnny, I appreciate that, but you are the author of this thinking and this framework. Share with us in this moment, we have 2 minutes before we come forward, but a whole hour to discuss it, your initial thoughts on where we geopolitically, geoculturally, and geoscientifically, if you will, locate ourselves in this moment.
Well, in this moment, especially where we are is at a crisis. We're at the crossroads of chaos and community is actually, Jesse, how I think Dr. King would position us in answering the question, that crossroads of our choice, the choices we make and how we structure the social order. And so when he posits the question, where do we go from here? He's asking the question, do we take the path of violence or do we take the path of nonviolence? And then when we choose those paths, what are we actually choosing? Do we understand in their totality what violence and nonviolence are? The argument that you just laid out suggests that they are more than just direct violence and direct nonviolence.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Johnny Mack on a metalogic of nonviolence, Martin Luther King Jr.'s logic of nonviolence in the 21st century. More when we come forward, right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKY-RIZI.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
You're muted, Jesse.
Dr. Johnny Mack is a social entrepreneur, a scholar practitioner with expertise in the subject areas of peace, conflict, and social change and movements. Dr. Mack's research includes extensive study of Martin Luther King Jr.'s logic of nonviolence and the U.S. Civil Rights Movement. He explicates Dr. King's logic of nonviolence, using King's call to restructure the social edifice and particularly its triple evils of racism and militarism with a revolution of values that is effected through peaceable power. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the show.
Great to be here. Thank you, Jesse.
Dr. Mack, here's the hinge of the hour. Galtung gave us 3 forms of violence: direct, structural, and cultural. Dr. Mack, you've argued that nonviolence has the same 3, that King was building toward it in 1967, and that the field has spent 60 years practicing only the first. Let's get to the hinge. If violence has 3 faces, why does nonviolence only have 1?
Well, Jesse, nonviolence has 1, and once again, because of the choices we make. It's very interesting that, for example, when we take the King holiday is the epitome of recognizing Dr. King's work and his logic of nonviolence. Yet we frame that holiday as a day of service, a day on, not a day off, is the term that was coined in 1994 under the Clinton administration. Why a day on and not a day off? I argued back then, I happened to be the director of the King Center at the time, and remember conversations, stay with me now, remember the conversations about the King holiday when it became a day of service. Why have a day on and not a day off? I argued then, Jesse, and I argued now that it should have been a day off. Yes, to celebrate the life of King, to take a moment and reflect. Yes, I argued a day off, but the other 364 days should have been the day on. What we've done, Jesse, is we've taken the nonviolent direct action and made it a day of service. In the same way that we take violence and we make it a single act. I hope you're following me here. And so we don't recognize that violence has 3 faces: direct, structural, and cultural, as you outlined in the opening of our conversation today. And if violence has direct, structural, and cultural, then I argue that nonviolence must have the same. But what are they? How do we understand them? If we only view violence as having 1 form, and what Galtung called the manifest form, and what he meant by that is what we can see, what we can feel with our fundamental senses. We see, we feel, we experience direct violence. But he called the other 2 forms of violence latent. That is, they are not manifest. We don't see them. We don't feel them. We don't hear them. They are transparent to us. We don't acknowledge that they even exist. Yet they are the most pernicious. They are the violence that causes this slow death, this slow, painful death of being marginalized, of being institutionalized, of being ignored, of being taken advantage of being excluded from participating in what the social structure has to offer those who are recognized, who are included. And not only is this a structural phenomenon, it is also a cultural phenomenon. And so the cultural aspect, that cultural violence, Galtung argued, legitimizes the direct and structural forms. If that's the case with violence, it must also then, Jesse, be the case of nonviolence. That is, nonviolence must also have that very direct form that we see, feel, and experience. But we can also, Jesse, institutionalize nonviolence in the social processes, mores, and norms, the institutions and organizations of society. And then finally, Jesse, we can have the cultural frameworks, as Galton argues, that legitimize the structural and cultural forms of nonviolence. I hope that wasn't too academic.
No, it wasn't, but I do want to push you for some concreteness. First, most people think violence is a fist. You say it's three things. Our audience is now beginning to appreciate that violence is direct, structural, and cultural. I'd like you to expand on that, but I don't want to stop there. Then you say after confrontation, then what? And in the most concrete way possible, help me understand what nonviolence looks like on Tuesday. One institution, one policy, one thing that one of our listeners can actually join. When I think about citizenship in schools and Highlander, these are things that you understand better than most.
Indeed. So if we first take the violence and then we'll counterpose it to the nonviolence. If direct violence is direct physical hurt and harm, and structural violence is indirect, institutional, where we are marginalized, as I mentioned earlier, and we are excluded, then a nonviolent form includes those who were previously marginalized or excluded. And so our educational systems, for example, our housing policies, our financial policies, our lending policies, in housing, in our educational systems, each of those, Jesse, become the areas where we create policies and processes and institutions that include all citizens and not benefits some while excluding and burdening others. And so how we develop our local, our regional, our state policies, who we vote for, and how they champion and ensure that policies on how we police, policies on how we educate, policies on how we provide health care are all inclusive, recognizing the dignity of all humanity, not benefiting the rich or a particular ethnic group or racial group, but benefiting all. I think, Jesse, is what we are looking for and how we want to include or create a society of a nonviolent world.
Let me put a little pressure on this. The state's monopoly on violence is coercive and enforceable. Civil society's monopoly on nonviolence is voluntary. King's own obedience to, let's say, the unenforceable obligations, he said. Is that a monopoly or is that a hope?
Well, I do argue that if the state has the monopoly on violence, then the citizens have the monopoly on nonviolence. That's for sure. Constitutionally, theoretically, the people give up their right to violence to the state so that the state can create an orderly system that provides for the development of individuals and groups and the entire society. Otherwise, we would have a chaotic society where it's all against all, as one theorist argued. So when the people give up their right to violence, they are also therefore taking hold of their monopoly on nonviolence. What does that then mean? That the people must hold the state accountable for how it uses that monopoly of violence for and against its citizens. The state must not do anything that denies the dignity and the liberty of individuals, particularly giving some a privilege of that dignity and liberty while burdening others. And so when we create this society, this nonviolent society, citizens through voting, as you and your previous guest, Atiba, discussed in the whole voting process, citizens exercise their monopoly. This is one way, Jesse, exercise their monopoly on nonviolence in how they vote, how they go to the polls, but not only on the day of voting, not only on voting day, election day, but throughout the entire year. The problem is we focus primarily on that one day and that one action within the voting booth.
I agree with that. If nonviolence, Johnny, includes education, and let's just say that it also includes institution building, that's working together to build institutions,
yes,
and civic participation, hence voting, where does it stop being nonviolence and start being a synonym for good government? I mean, most of the politicians who are running for office in November aren't talking about Dr. King or Galtung. They're talking about good government. And at some point in time, that which we are espousing is a function of a government that actually delivers for the people beyond the philosophical. And I think it was Galtung who took the same criticism over this idea of positive peace.
He did indeed. Well, good governance is a relative term. There's nothing wrong with the term. We all want good governance. The question is, what is good governance, and who determines what that is?
I don't think it's difficult now, because we didn't know what good governance was until we got what we presently got.
That's one way of looking at it.
We know what government we don't want anymore.
Well, some would argue, and I am among them, Jesse, while the governance we have is not good, I'm not so sure that the governance we had before it was good. That's arguable. What ultimately is the measure of good governance? The measure of good governance, I argue that King argued, again, please stay with me on this one. I argue that King would argue that good governance is governance that recognizes the equal dignity and worth of all human beings, period, irrespective of any other characterization or attribution of our humanity. Fundamental dignity and worth of an individual is critical, is essential to good governance. The second is liberty, King would argue. That is, we all should have equal access and freedom to realize our greatest potential. We ought not create laws and institutions that benefit some and burden others, but we should all equally share in the benefits and burdens of government so that we can have equal opportunity, Jesse, to realize our fullest potential. The third value that King argued is one of solidarity. We'll use the word community in this case, that if we all have equal dignity and worth, and we all should have liberty to exercise that dignity and worth to realize our greatest potential, then within solidarity and community, we must cooperate with each other to ensure in community and solidarity that we maintain that dignity and that liberty. And so those are the three fundamental values, I would argue, that King would say our governing should be informed and instructed by.
E-Spirit Tay 55 writes in the post, can we just get a super PAC and have our own party? Neither current party has our own interests. I'd like to make the argument, Johnny, that I wish we had a leader who framed and saw the larger structural edifice, not from a political party's perspective, but from where the experiment and the system is going in its entirety. Where it's going over time, where it's direction, where we may have to stop at any given moment and pivot from where we are to achieve some kind of beloved community. And sometimes we work within the structure of the political parties and within the structure of the system, but it does not necessarily yield with our best efforts the result without looking at a broader reflection of where we are and where we're going. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580, more with Johnny Mack when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is brushing aside concerns over the sudden departure of acting Chief Financial Officer Steve Maher.
People move on all the time, but here's the thing that's most steady. I'm still here.
Critics say the timing raises questions after a mid-year budget update showed financial challenges for the city. Maher's exit also comes ahead of fall budget negotiations and an investor conference in Chicago next month. High blood pressure during pregnancy has jumped 55% in Tennessee over the past 8 years. Health officials say gestational hypertension now affects nearly 1 in 11 births and is a leading cause of maternal death among Black mothers. And Ohio Governor Mike DeWine says there are no plans for an immigration enforcement surge following the expiration of temporary protected status for Haitians. He opposes deporting Haitians living in Ohio, but says the state will follow federal law. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Good news to report on Mia Bieniemy, the wife of Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Mia, recovering from gunshot wounds, was transferred out of intensive care Thursday morning at a Virginia hospital and upgraded to stable condition. Mia was shot Sunday night in the couple's Virginia home. The Bieniemy's 27-year-old son Elijah has been charged in the shooting and remains in custody without bail. A judge ordered Elijah to undergo a mental evaluation before proceeding with the legal process. Eric Bieniemy, the only Black offensive coordinator in the NFL, has been in Virginia since the shooting. Chiefs head coach Andy Reid told Bieniemy to take as much time as he needs to be with his family. Bieniemy has been on the Chiefs staff for a total of 11 seasons. He was the Chiefs offensive coordinator when they won the Super Bowl in 2020, 2023, and 2024. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in fighting for the rights of black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars working collectively to improve the position of the black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare black workers for employment in high-wage career track jobs. The LA Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. And they are advocating for a fair deal for black workers in the new Los Angeles City Charter. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing, or learn about union apprenticeship programs and trade registries, please visit lablackworkercenter.org. That's lablackworkercenter.org. Together, we can beat the black jobs crisis and build a more equitable Los Angeles. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It is 1:37 p.m. in Los Angeles. And if you're on the 405, the 101, the 5, the 10, the 118, or the 110, if you're on Ventura or Sepulveda or Gardena or the Hills, you are 5 hours away from our town hall meeting on 4909 or at 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard at Bethesda Temple Church. Today is July 30th, and at 6 o'clock, Dr. Nicord Corte starts live, and Tavis will moderate a town hall meeting on what's taking so long to pour some concrete in Crenshaw to keep our businesses open. We're having a town hall meeting where everyone is going to get an opportunity to express their frustration about the delays, the timeline, and what happens next for the Crenshaw corridor. And we are expecting people who are in positions of know and capability to be there so they can hear our community's frustration. Counting on you guys to show up tonight and do me a favor. Take a picture of Tavis Smiley in his hard hat. He promised us that we would get that opportunity. Love you, Brother Tavis. Looking forward to seeing it. Don't let me Photoshop it. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 in this moment. And in this segment, Dr. Johnny Mack has been talking about the structural edifice. And I do have a couple of questions, Johnny. One, which I know will take up most of this segment. Has the nonprofit sector become part of the edifice?
Well, of course, yes. The nonprofit sector is by definition part of the edifice. The question is, what is the nonprofit sector? What role does it serve? Who organizes it? Who controls it? How is it funded? Who benefits from it? These are fundamental, what I would call constitutional questions, Jesse, about the nonprofit sector. There are a number of scholarly works, for whatever that's worth, about how the nonprofit sector operates and answering some of those questions. Presently, the nonprofit structure is designed and controlled predominantly by the other two sectors, that is, among the three sectors of the social edifice. Remember now, these three sectors are government, the market, and civil society. The nonprofit sector is part of civil society, and it is subject to the way the structure is currently organized, the whims and the ways of government and the market. That is, government decides what are the policies, the legal policies and processes of the nonprofit sector, and often funds the work of the nonprofit sectors. Then the market, through corporations and foundations, have a profound impact on how the nonprofit sector operates, how it is controlled, what services it provides, and who benefits from those services. And so part of the argument there, Jesse, I think implied in your question is, what is, or at least the question is, what is the role of the nonprofit sector as part of the social edifice? So to the question, Jesse, after confrontation, then what? What does the nonprofit sector do after confrontation? How is it serving the broader sector of civil society in ways that foster human dignity, that supports that liberty to exercise that dignity, to realize our greatest potential? And how does it create, that is, the nonprofit sector, real community where we all share in the benefits and burdens of the social edifice? That, I would argue, is the question, or those are the questions we must answer regarding the nonprofit sector within civil society.
In the next segment of our show, I am going to ask you a very specific question about whether or not a constitutional amendment counts as structural nonviolence. But before we get there, I want to hang around and try and take this profoundly philosophical conversation and bring it down to the streets. And this is something I've been struggling with. A great tragedy occurred in Mississippi on July 4th. A young man lost his life. A family is in distress. Great pain, pursuing justice. The entire community is pursuing justice. They are not the only family that are in distress. They're not the only lives affected even by the tragedy of this loss. And I'm speaking very carefully because I do not want to get myself in trouble. The perpetrators of this crime, if there is a crime that is found, need to be brought to justice. Let me be perfectly clear about that. But that 7 people's lives on a boat may be affected for life in prison without the possibility of parole, if in fact they are part of whatever the facts may yield. Whether the facts yield a prosecution or not, their lives have already been affected because they're associated with the perception of what took place, whether it took place, and whatever the facts can prove or not. Although I think the facts are leaning clearly in the direction that something horrific has occurred on July 4th. There are parents, and there might be many who say, who gives a damn about their parents? And I can identify with that too. But I'm wondering, what kind of world would we have to have built for Nolan Wells, his humanity, his personhood, to have been respected enough that on July 4th, we would not be having this conversation about his death? What would have had to have penetrated within those families, within those parents, within those churches, within those communities, within those social structures, within the education system itself, that Nolan Wells's life was just as important and significant as any other life on Horn Island on that day. And that everyone who was having a great time or a good time on July 4th, at the end of the day, would make it home to their parents. What does the structure of the world that we have not built, either culturally, politically, governmentally, civilly, that has not penetrated the hearts of men and women and families for decades, to which we find ourselves at this moment profoundly divided, not only in our politics, those are just symptoms and symbols of a larger problem, but what kind of world, what kind of society, what kind of nation, what kind of family, what kind of good neighbor policy have we not built that for my children and your children and our grandchildren, that when they are with friends of different races and different cultures and different spaces, that at the end of the day, their humanity is respected. What would have had to occur to make that a possibility and a reality? What kind of work, other than just celebrating Dr. King's birthday on his actual birthday, January 15th, or the third Monday of the month, or Black History Month for 28 days, or Memorial Day when the first African Americans marched around a wall and led to the National Memorial Day from the Civil War to the present. I could go on and on, and I will stop right here. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, more with Dr. Johnny Mack on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you feeling the heat? LADWP can help you stay cool this summer and save money. Through the Cool LA program, eligible customers can receive instant rebates of up to $275 on new portable, window, and wall air conditioners. Shop the Cool LA Marketplace today and beat the heat and save. Learn more and apply at ladwp.com/cool-LA. That's ladwp.com/cool-LA.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like head administrator for a state-of-the-art surgical center.
What can I do for you, Doc?
We need to talk about the lights.
Ah, the mood lighting, relaxing, right? Much better than those old hospital vibes.
A hospital's supposed to have hospital vibes.
You seem tense. Let's dim the lights a bit.
This is your job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The midterm elections are upon us. It is voting season once again. Common Cause's motto is fighting for the democracy we deserve. In service of that goal, Common Cause puts its state and national policy expertise, massive network of grassroots supporters, and nonpartisan approach into action to strengthen our democracy against the challenges we face today. They work at every level of government on priorities that impact each of our lives, like defending the right to vote, limiting big money's influence on our elections, holding public officials accountable, and more. Common Cause is a nonpartisan grassroots organization dedicated to upholding the core values of American democracy. They seek to empower all people to make their voices heard in the political process. This election may be the most important one ever. If you'd like to make a donation or volunteer in service to the Constitution, please visit commoncause.org. That's commoncause.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Roger and Tracy saved over $18,400. Cynthia was recovering from a family tragedy and saved over $10,300. If you are drowning in debt, then call Debt Blue. Debt Blue is a professional debt negotiation firm with over 20 years of experience helping people pay back a fraction of what they owe. Learn how to cut your debt up to half or maybe more. Be debt-free in 24 to 48 months, even with bad credit. With an A+ rating from the BBB, you can rest easy knowing Debt Blue is going to deliver guaranteed debt reduction. Debt Blue offers a success guarantee. You pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. That's right. You save money or it's free. Call now for significant debt relief and a free consultation. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879. You don't have to declare bankruptcy. This program works if you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in debt. Call for your free consultation today. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Max Research. Dr. Max Research articulates Dr. King's peaceable power as direct structural and cultural nonviolence with a correlating strategic consciousness and cultural action correlates. Mac argues nonviolence is a metalogic with direct structural and cultural forms that counterpose Johann Galtung's seminal conflict and violence triangles. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, Jesse.
Dr. Mack, how can we support your work?
Well, our work at the World House Project, which is our website, one can go to that website, theworldhouseproject.org, and learn more about our work, learn how we are using this concept, this framework of direct structural and cultural nonviolence and making it practical. There you can also make a tax-deductible contribution that supports the work around the globe.
Dr. Mack, I want to quote one of the most famous lines in American rhetoric. We chose to go to the moon in this decade and do other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. We choose to build a healthcare system, hundreds, maybe thousands of new hospitals in every state in this union to put the American people in a position where the longevity of their lives are greatly expanded. We choose this endeavor, not because it is easy, but because it is hard to build high schools and preschools for thousands of unborn yet unborn Americans who will confront an education system that needs to be united, guaranteeing all Americans the right to an education of equal high quality. We choose this endeavor, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. And lastly, to stop these superstorms, every American deserves the right to a clean, safe, and sustainable environment. And we must look state by state, county by county, and city by city, and own the behavior and the responsibility for our contribution to what we are doing to our planet, our home, and then assess as a government what we can do together to change this space. We choose this not because it is easy, but because it is hard. I don't think, Johnny, there's a substitute for leadership here on the question of calling us to a beloved community and to a world house, something that has us project ourselves far larger than we are in ourselves. I'd like to think that when I advocated for 9 amendments to the Constitution, not as a single amendment, but as 9 different amendments, because we need 2/3 of the Senate and the Congress of the United States to vote to pass an amendment to the Constitution, which means a lot of voting, a lot of elections, a lot of single-minded, focused American people. And then we need 3/4 of the legislatures in the states. We ask for an amendment to make this improvement to our structural reality permanent, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. Does a constitutional amendment count as structural nonviolence because the work to get it done actually brings people together?
Well, certainly, depending upon what what the actual amendment does, that amendment can be violent or it can be nonviolent. The question is, does it recognize the equal dignity and worth of the citizen? Does it foster the freedom, the liberty to exercise that dignity and worth so that a person has equal opportunity to realize their greatest potential? And does it create that constitutional amendment? Does it create solidarity and community among all people so that the benefits and burdens of that constitutional amendment is realized and experienced equally across the entire citizenry? So that's what determines, Jesse, whether any constitutional amendment will be violent or nonviolent.
But I call them affirmative amendments. The right to a public education of equal high quality, the right to health care of equal high quality, the right to a clean, safe, and sustainable environment. I'm not expanding the military-industrial complex. I'm expanding human and civil rights. I'm expanding the citizenship rights of every American. I don't think, Johnny, there's a substitute for leadership on this question.
Well, no, there isn't. But remember now that leadership also determines how that constitutional amendment is actually carried out administratively, operationally. We have many.
And don't we get to debate that, though? Don't we get to debate that through the processes if we're able to work together? There'll be conservative interpretations of the amendment.
Right.
That's why the language matters. There'll be liberal interpretations of the amendments. That will be the back and forth of what the language says and what the intention was of the American people. However, if we establish a record early on of what the intention of the American people is and all.
That's the point, Jesse. What is the intention of the American people? Do the American people stand behind those fundamental values of dignity, liberty, and solidarity, or community? That's the point, Jesse. How are we applying the Constitution? How are we applying and operationalizing, making real where the abstract rubber meets the concrete road of everyday life for citizens? How are they being applied? And the question is, how are we, the people, holding accountable our elected officials and those who administratively carry out the laws, the rules, the processes, the regulations? Are we holding their feet to the fire? Are we requiring them to honor the dignity, the liberty, and create community among American people?
Johnny, we have 2 minutes for a word of hope. Johnny, this has been your work. We've been dealing with it for quite some time now.
I'm grateful, first of all, that we've had this conversation about the idea of a nonviolent structure that extends beyond mere confrontation, that extends beyond protesting, that extends beyond marching, but that reaches into the structural framework of our society, as King argued, and seeks to restructure the edifice so that it doesn't produce beggars, so that it doesn't marginalize and make criminals of our efforts to simply realize our greatest potential, so that it builds community. I'm grateful that we're having this conversation today. And my hope, Jesse, is that we will continue to have the conversation and do something that you mentioned at least 3 times in our discussion today. That is, it makes it practical. One of the reasons, Jesse, we have had a theoretical conversation is that this idea has not been addressed. It has not been given the sufficient attention that King asked we give it.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. You just have a few hours to get to the church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard, Bethesda Temple Church, where Tavis Smiley and Nee Quarterly Coite will be representing our station on the Crenshaw Corridor. Churches, businesses, artists, all are invited. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA.